Picture the scene: a luxurious hotel ballroom, crystal chandeliers, the clinking of glasses, expensive tuxedos. This isn't just a party, it's a gathering of the elite. Here, you'll find the greatest scientists, writers, artists, and entrepreneurs of their generation. The people who are changing the world. In the corner of the room stands a man. He holds a glass of champagne, smiling and nodding when spoken to. But inside, a cold dread is tightening its grip. His heart is pounding. His palms are sweating. He looks at the people around him and thinks the same thought, over and over, like a broken record. What am I doing here? This is a mistake. They're all the real deal. And me? I'm just a lucky guy who's fooled everyone. Sooner or later, someone will put a hand on my shoulder and say, "Excuse me, sir, but you don't belong here. Security will escort you out the back entrance." This man feels like a small, insignificant fraud among giants. And now, for the most interesting part. Do you know who this man is? It's Neil Armstrong, the first man to walk on the moon, a national hero, a living legend. And he's standing at this party telling the person he's talking to, the writer Neil Gaiman, "I look at all these people and think, what the hell am I doing here? They've written great books and made discoveries, and me, I just went where they told me to go." If a man who literally left his footprints on another celestial body feels like he's not good enough, then what does that say about the rest of us? About that moment, you're praised for a report you threw together in half an hour, and you think, "I've fooled them." About that moment, you get a promotion, and you expect HR to walk in and say, "Oops, we got the names mixed up." About that feeling when you're in an important meeting, afraid to open your mouth, lest everyone realize how clueless you really are. This feeling has a name. It poisons the lives of millions, from Ivy League students to Fortune 500 CEOs. We call it imposter syndrome. But here's the strange part. We're used to seeing it as a weakness, a lack of confidence, a psychological problem that needs to be fixed. What if I told you it's the exact opposite? That this fear isn't a bug in your psyche, but a feature. And that, paradoxically, feeling like a fraud might be the most reliable sign that you are, in fact, the real deal. The year is 1978. America is changing. Women are actively building careers, breaking through glass ceilings in business and science. It should be a time of triumph. But two researchers from Georgia State University, Pauline Clance and Suzanne Imes, noticed a strange anomaly. Women with incredible resumes were coming to them for therapy, PhDs, top executives, brilliant students. Objectively, they were the elite. But as soon as the office door closed, these successful women would all say the same thing. "I can't convince anyone I'm smart. I'm just good at making people like me. I was hired by mistake. It was just luck." Clance and Imes gave this phenomenon a name, the impostor phenomenon. Note, not a syndrome, but a phenomenon. It's not a disease. It's not in any medical manuals. You can't call in sick for feeling like a fraud. But how does it work? Why does the brain ignore reality? Let's break down the mechanics. It's a vicious cycle that psychologists call the imposter cycle. It all starts with a new task. Let's say you're assigned an important project, Anxiety immediately kicks in. I can't do this. They're going to find me out. To silence the anxiety, you choose one of two strategies. 1. Over-preparation. You work 80 hours a week, double-check every comma, and prepare as if the fate of the universe depends on it. 2. Procrastination. You put everything off until the last second, paralyzed by fear, and then pull it all together in a frantic, all-night rush. And then comes the finale. The project is submitted. It's a success. You're praised. Logically, you should feel proud, right? But the imposter's brain breaks logic. If you worked yourself to the bone, you think, I only succeeded because I killed myself working. If I had worked normal hours like everyone else, I would have failed. That means I have no talent, only a workaholic tendency. If you did it at the last minute, you think, I just got lucky. Next time, my luck will run out and I'll crash and burn. The result? The success doesn't register. It passes right through you, like a neutrino. And the anxiety before the next project only gets stronger, because now the bar has been raised even higher, and the fall will be even more painful. Dr. Valerie Young took it a step further and classified us. She identified 5 types of imposters. See if you recognize yourself. 1. The perfectionist. If I did the job 99% perfectly, I'm a failure. Any mistake is a catastrophe. 2. The expert. I can't start a project until I've read every book on the subject. I'm terrified someone will ask me something I don't know. 3. The natural genius. If I have to put in effort to learn something, it means I'm a fraud. Everything should come easily and on the first try. 4. The soloist. Asking for help is admitting my incompetence. I have to do everything myself. 5. The Superman, Superwoman. I must be the perfect employee, the perfect parent, and the perfect friend all at once. Rest is for the weak. Sound familiar? It probably does. Statistics show that 70% of people have experienced this feeling at least once in their lives. But why now? Why has this feeling become an epidemic in our culture? Let's be honest. America is built on a myth. The myth of the self-made man. From childhood, we're told stories of heroes who rose from the bottom. From Benjamin Franklin to Elon Musk. The American cultural code screams, your success depends only on you. If you're smart and hardworking, you'll win. If you lose, you're lazy or stupid. It's a beautiful idea, but it has a dark side. If success is solely your achievement, then failure is solely your fault. We live in a society that leaves no room for chance. We refuse to acknowledge the role of luck, connections, or being in the right place at the right time. And when you do succeed, your inner voice whispers, but I had help. I was lucky with the timing. I had good teachers. You see these factors and think they diminish your accomplishments. Because in Hollywood movies, the hero does it all alone. And you're not a movie hero. You're a real person. But if it were only about history, in the 21st century, we added rocket fuel to the fire, social media. Remember the phrase often attributed to Stephen Furtick? The reason we struggle with insecurity is because we compare our behind the scenes with everyone else's highlight reel. Open Instagram or LinkedIn. What do you see? Thrilled to announce I've accepted a position at Google. My startup just raised $10 million. Bought my dream house at 25. You only see the tip of the iceberg. You see a rehearsed, filtered, perfect facade. You don't see their panic attacks. You don't see the 50 rejections they received before that one yes. You don't see their sleepless nights. But you see everything about yourself. You know every dark thought, every doubt, every minute of procrastination spent watching cat videos instead of working. And your brain makes a logical error. It compares your internal reality, chaotic and vulnerable, with their external presentation, perfect and confident. Naturally, you lose that comparison. You feel like a defective model among flawless machines. Add to this the corporate culture of fake it till you make it. We're taught to smile, project confidence, and speak loudly even when we don't know the answer. We all wear masks of competence. At Harvard and MIT, there's an unofficial term for this. Every year, freshmen arrive thinking, the admissions committee made a mistake. Everyone here is a genius, and I got in by accident. They call it Harvard depression. The irony is that half the students are thinking the exact same thing. We've created a culture that encourages us to wear a mask and then makes us hate ourselves for being different underneath. But there's one nuance that changes everything. One scientific detail that flips the game on its head. It turns out that the people who truly know and can do nothing, they are the ones who never feel like imposters. Let's do a thought experiment. Think of the most clueless, incompetent person you've ever worked with. The one who derails projects and misses deadlines but walks around with their head held high. Have you ever seen a shred of doubt in them? Do they lie awake at night thinking, "Oh God, I don't deserve my salary"? Spoiler alert, no. They sleep like a baby. In 1999, psychologists David Dunning and Dunning-Kruger published a study that became legendary. They examined the phenomenon that now bears their name, the Dunning-Kruger effect. Its essence is as brutal as it is simple. Incompetent people cannot recognize their own incompetence precisely because they are incompetent. To realize you're doing something poorly, you need the knowledge of how to do it well. If you lack that knowledge, you're doomed to think you're a genius. You're at the peak of Mount Stupid. You're brimming with confidence because your ignorance shields you from doubt. Now, look at the other side of the graph, at the so-called Valley of Despair. The more you learn, the more clearly you see how much you still don't know. Your competence grows, but your confidence plummets. And there it is, the central paradox. Doubt is a sign of competence. Only a professional can see the nuances, complexities, and risks. Only an expert understands precisely where they might go wrong. Imposter syndrome is, in essence, the flip side of the Dunning-Kruger effect. You feel like a fraud, not because you're incompetent, but because you're intelligent enough to recognize your own limitations. This is called metacognition, the ability to think about your own thinking. It's a higher-level brain function. Imagine you're a doctor. A bad doctor is 100% sure of their diagnosis. A good doctor has doubts, double checks, and reads new research. A good doctor feels uncertain. Which one would you choose? So, if you're thinking right now, I don't know anything, I'm fooling everyone, congratulations. That is the most reliable indicator that you likely know more than most people in the room. Your imposter syndrome isn't a defect. It's a certificate of quality. It's proof that you've outgrown your old knowledge and are standing on the threshold of the new. But if it's so logical, Why does it hurt so much? Why does our body react to professional self-doubt as if we're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger? To understand why a PowerPoint presentation can make us physically nauseous, we need to look inside our skulls. There's a constant war going on in our heads. On one side is the prefrontal cortex. This is our CEO. It's responsible for logic, planning, and creativity. It's the part that writes code, develops strategies, and understands complex concepts. On the other side is the limbic system, particularly the amygdala. This is our inner caveman. It's ancient, fast, and very, very fearful. Its sole purpose is survival. To the amygdala, there's no difference between a lion is about to eat me and my colleagues are going to laugh at me. The body's reaction is the same, a surge of cortisol and adrenaline, the fight, flight, or freeze response. Why? Because hundreds of thousands of years of evolution have taught us one simple rule: isolation equals death. If the tribe banishes you, you die on the savannah. That's why social approval is as crucial to us as food. And the fear of being exposed is the fear of being exiled. When you think they're going to find out I'm an imposter, your amygdala hears, the tribe will discover I'm useless and cast me out to be eaten by hyenas. That's why this fear is so paralyzing. It's not just career anxiety. It's existential dread. And the brain starts to play a cruel trick on us. It activates what's known as confirmation bias. Imagine you receive 10 compliments and one piece of criticism. What does the imposter brain do? It says, those 10 people are just being polite, they're lying, or they don't know what they're talking about. But that one critic? Oh, he sees right through me. He's right. We filter out anything that contradicts our fear. We collect a portfolio of our failures and ignore our victories. Compliments slide off us like Teflon. Criticism sticks like Velcro. And the more successful you become, the scarier it gets. You'd think a Nobel Prize or an Oscar would cure the syndrome, right? How can you feel like an imposter with a gold statue on your shelf? It turns out you can. And you do. Success only raises the stakes. Now you have something to lose. Now the fall will be from a greater height. History is full of examples of people who reached the absolute pinnacle of their fields and felt like frauds until their last breath. Let's open the Imposter Hall of Fame. Albert Einstein, the man whose name is synonymous with genius. A month before his death, he confessed to a friend, "The exaggerated esteem in which my life work is held makes me feel ill at ease. I feel compelled to think of myself as an involuntary swindler." Einstein, a swindler. Maya Angelou, the great American poet, Pulitzer Prize winner, Tony and Grammy nominee. She wrote 11 books, and every time she finished a new manuscript, she thought, uh-oh, they're going to find me out now. I've run a game on everybody, and they're going to find me out. Tom Hanks, an actor beloved by the world, a two-time Oscar winner. In his words, no matter what we've done, there comes a point where you think, how did I get here? When are they going to discover that I am, in fact, a fraud and take everything away from me? Michelle Obama, First Lady, lawyer, style icon. She has admitted that imposter syndrome never goes away completely. It lurks in your head, whispering, "You're not good enough." Jodie Foster, after winning an Oscar for The Accused, she was convinced it was a mistake. She seriously thought the academy would knock on her door and say, "Sorry, we made a mistake. Please give the statue to Meryl Streep." Speaking of Meryl Streep, she suffers from it too. She once said, "Why would anyone want to see me again in a movie? And I don't know how to act anyway, so why am I doing this?" Do you see the pattern? These aren't failures. These are the people who have defined our culture. Their feeling of being an imposter didn't stop them from creating. On the contrary, perhaps it was the very thing that pushed them to work harder, dig deeper, and demand the impossible from themselves. Think back to that meeting of the two Neils we talked about at the beginning. Neil Gaiman, the best-selling author, and Neil Armstrong, the first man on the moon. Gaiman wrote about it in his journal. He realized something important. If Neil Armstrong felt like an imposter, maybe there were no grown-ups. Maybe none of us know what we're doing. Maybe we're all just faking it. That thought can be terrifying, but it can also be liberating. If no one knows the rules, then you can't break them. If everyone is pretending, then you fit right in. You don't have to wait for the moment you feel ready, because that moment will never come. Confidence isn't something that comes before you act. Confidence is the result of acting. So, what do we do with this voice in our head? Try to kill it? Silence it with pills or affirmations? No, there's a better way. We've reached the end, and I want to offer you a radical idea. Stop fighting imposter syndrome. Stop trying to cure it. Imagine you're a mountain climber. You're standing at the base of a huge mountain. Are you scared? Of course. Do you feel small? Absolutely. Does that mean you shouldn't climb? No. It means you're properly assessing the scale of the challenge. Your fear is a compass. If you don't feel like an imposter, at least some of the time, it means you're standing still. You're in your comfort zone. You're not growing. But as soon as you step into new territory, the voice in your head wakes up. You're not ready. You're a fraud. Excellent. That's the signal. It means, attention, we are now entering a growth zone. Instead of being ashamed of this feeling, reframe it. When the voice says, "I don't know anything," answer, "I don't know everything, but I can learn." When the voice says, "They're going to expose me," answer, "Even if I make a mistake, I'll survive. It's an experience, not a catastrophe." When the voice says, "It's easy for everyone else, just hard for me," remember Neil Armstrong. It was hard for him too. Talk about it. Take off the mask. Tell a colleague, "Honestly, I'm a little nervous about this project. I've never done anything like it before." You'll be surprised, but 9 times out of 10, you'll hear back, "Oh my God, me too. I thought I was the only one." The moment you admit your vulnerability is the moment you become invincible, because there's nothing left to hide. We are all imposters. The surgeon performing an operation still Googles symptoms. The airline pilot sometimes forgets which button to press. Your boss looks in the mirror before a big meeting and says, "Pull yourself together." The world isn't divided into those who know everything and those who know nothing. The world is divided into those who are afraid and do nothing, and those who are afraid but take a step forward anyway. You are not a fraud. You are simply a person who has dared to do something new in a complex, unpredictable world. And that alone is enough to be proud of. So, the next time you walk into a room full of important people and feel that familiar chill in your stomach, smile at it. Adjust your imaginary tie. and tell yourself, "Hello, syndrome. I'm glad to see you too. Now let's get to work."